This Jeep currently has an intermittent no start problem. When I put the key in and turn it to the on position, all the dash lights come on as they're supposed to. And when I turn it to the start position, I get nothing, not a click, nothing. And I know that the battery's good. First time that it happened to me, couldn't really figure out what was going on. And I let it sit for a little while, and then I came back and it started right up like nothing was wrong. So my first thought was that I had a bad connection somewhere. Checked the relays and the fuses and everything looked good. Next thing I checked was I looked down at the solenoid on the starter, checked the connections. And those connections look like they're pretty corroded. So here's a better shot of those connections that I'm talking about. You can see there's a fair amount of surface rust on those connections. So what I'm going to do is just going to remove the wires from those connections, and I'm going to clean them up with a little rotary wire brush that I have from my Dremel, and then put it back together. Hopefully that'll solve the issue that I'm having. If you're having a similar issue where you're not getting any sounds or anything from the starter, it's a good idea to start here. You know, it could be something else, but in my case, from how it looks, I'm pretty sure that that's the issue. It actually did it again to me yesterday, and I popped the hood, I went right to these connections, and I just moved them around a little bit and came back, and the Jeep started right up. So I'm pretty sure that that's my issue. First thing I'm going to do before I start messing with those wires, I'm just going to remove this positive battery terminal, and then I'll move on to removing the terminals from the starter solenoid. All right, mine happens to be 10 millimeter. Now obviously this isn't the original, so yours may be different. There we go. Just going to put that aside. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom, remove the wires from the terminals on the solenoid. All right, so here we are from underneath. So I'm going to start by removing this first. This looks like it's a little bit loose, so that might be my issue right there. So I'm going to take this off and clean it up, and then make sure when I put it back on there, I'm going to put it on tightly. And I'm going to remove these as well. They don't look too bad, but I'm going to remove them just to clean them up a little bit anyway, and hopefully that's going to solve my issue. So from down here, I'm not seeing any way that I can tighten this up. You can see that's a little bit loose. So that may be my issue. So I'm going to remove the starter assembly, be able to get a better look at that and see what I need to do. Perhaps I just need to replace the solenoid. But it's kind of hard for me to see what I need to do from underneath here. So to remove this starter, I think that it's just 2 or 3 bolts. See one here, and I know that there's one here that comes from the other side, and I don't know if there's another one on top of there or not, but I'll let you know in a minute. First I'm going to remove this battery cable. and I'll work on removing the starter. All right, so yeah, so it's just the 2 bolts. This bolt here is a 16 millimeter, and this one on this side I think is a 14 or a 15 millimeter. But I loosened those two, and you can see that it's starting to move, so it's just those 2 bolts that'll hold it in. So I'm going to finish taking those out and pull out the starter, and then we'll be right back. All right, so I got it out. You can see that this is loose. So I already looked up the solenoid. They're pretty cheap to buy a replacement, like 20-30 bucks on Amazon. But I love fixing things instead of replacing. It's not about the money, just to see if I can do it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to get this all cleaned up, and I'm just going to hit it once with my MIG welder to see if I can get that to be a tight connection, see if that fixes the issue. If I destroy it by doing that, then no big deal. I'll just order another solenoid. All right, so that's tight now. All right, so now I'm going to see if that fixed the issue. Well, really only time will tell because it was an intermittent problem. So really this test, all it's going to tell me is whether or not I fried the solenoid when I welded it. Well, we're good. So hopefully that loose connection was the culprit, and I'm not going to be having those issues any longer. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. I have lots more videos coming.